Hello, my name is Brian Stacks. This is my aoc2 Week 1 project review. Starting out showing you my car factory H&M that I made. The header file that I made has a static function in it that's going to create the car types. And then in my M, it will instantiate each type of car from when they're picked and allocated to the self. Then I created a base car header and class. In the base car, I gave it a car enum of the different types of Chevrolet, Ford, and Chrysler. I gave it global properties, NS string, the car model, car color, car mile time, car distance. My calc was as an integer, and then the NS string text. Also created my init here, my calculate mile time, and another string for some text for some of my messages is my text. So in base car class .m, I synthesized the get and set for these variables: the car color, car mile time, car model, text, car distance, and my calc. I created my init and set some default variables with the set car color, just some. Then if it is not nil, then set these to default. This was my default calculation. Was my car mile time times 0.25, which would give you the quarter mile time. Return to my calc, else return 0. So something went wrong if it returns 0. Then here's my default text. For my text was the default text, and gave that, and then the same thing here. So then I went down to my subclasses, which would be the actual types that I was wanting to create. And so I created the Chevy car class, and in the header file, I created the enum for the cars. That way I could run through an if statement in my calculation. So car 1 would be obviously 0, car 2 would be 1, car 3 would be 2. I gave the two integer properties: distance travels and time per quarter mile. I brought in my net here, because you're gonna set all the values in your view controller, so you really ain't got to set no values here. I just commented out that this is where the values are gonna get set. I gave my calculate time, it was an integer, so it's just going to be a number that it sends back, it returns back. The time per quarter mile, my calc is pretty much distance traveled divided by car mile time, and it would return the time per quarter mile, and it also log it out for you. And then my text would be set text to, because if you're in the Chevy car class, your model is going to be a Chevy. But then in the view controller, you can also go into your model and get deeper into it and set your model as Chevy, Camaro, Corvette, different things like that. Car H, pretty much Ford car is the header file is pretty much the same. Just wanted to give a enum, that way I'd have something to write my calculations to, if statements. Gave some properties. The car order too, I actually needed to call it, so Ford car order is what I named it. Then I just gave the init again. This time the text, was the static text. Then the time per quarter mile, my calc, and that would be your time per quarter mile. But I don't think different is the Ford car order is not nil. If the Ford car order is something. Chubbs. Sorry, thought my dog was just coughing. We jump over here to the car H. And then this time I gave it a different type of E number. I gave it a 4-door, 2-door, and race type. That way I call the type and what Chrysler type it is, and then my car type was the values, properties I wanted to pass in. I synthesized those along with text from some of the earlier header file, the base header file actually. Here's the init where you can set your values, and this time I done my calculate time. If my car type equals 4-door, then we can set my car type to 0, set the Chrysler type to 300, and then you return that car type, which would be 0, which would also let you know it would be 300 to me, or whoever was creating the app would know that. And then 2-door would be the Sebring, and then the race type would be the Viper. And if it didn't return back any of them, it would give you a log if something went wrong, and also return 99. So if you ever saw 99, you knew that something had went wrong. And then the model, is Chrysler. Then we jump into the View Imp controller. After the Super View did load, you initiate the Chevy class with the Chevy car class being called first car. The Chevy car, the car factory, is going to create a new car of the Chevy type. And then first car, I'm going to set the time per quarter miles. Then this is where I do all my sets at. I set the car model, the car color, the car mile time, the car distance traveled. My calc label would actually be the UI label, the first one you're going to see, and it's going to tell you the first car model. And then the next text label will actually give you the quarter mile time calculation, because it's the car mile time divided by 4. This is the Chrysler car class being initiated as the A Chrysler, and then the factory creates the Chrysler, sets the car type to 2, which would be a Viper green. The car mile time and car distance would give you some of this, your calculations down here. Car mile time times 3, because that's what the distance he went was. But yeah, and then the 4 class, pretty much the same thing. And then I gave them all different areas to keep the labels nice and separated apart. But yeah, this